Good evening. Everyone that's here and citizens at home that are nice and relaxed on the couch. I just want to go ahead and get this started. Let's start with a word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this community. We thank you for the team that serves it, for our government, and we just pray that you continue to guide and lead, and we just pray that you continue to bless, Lord. We have so much to be thankful for, and I pray that that is our focus, and we just love you and praise you. In your name, amen. All right, state of the city. I do want to preface this, that this is just meant to be an informative meeting, okay? Thanks to Holly, our wonderful city secretary, she created this illustration for me about a month ago, and I thought this was very telling. We do pay a lot of taxes, but it doesn't all come to the city. There's other organizations that also help figure out what the taxes are. And so this is kind of a portion just to show you kind of where the bulk of the tax dollars go. Sorry, y'all. Everyone got a nice close-up of me on my Facebook Live, the city Facebook Live. So anyway, so this is just kind of to give you an illustration. This is all what the 2025 taxes. And again, please understand this is before exemptions. Exemptions do pull this number down. I thought it'd be helpful for you to just kind of get an idea of what the other cities are doing. And this is kind of the darker bar shows what the taxes were last year for the surrounding cities, and the lighter bar shows what this year's tax rate is. And I've got a summary page in here in just a minute. And then this is our adopted, kind of a 10-year adopted tax rate comparison. Now, I do want to preface this. I am defining the tax rate not on the no new revenue rate. This is just based on historical data of the rates adopted by the city, okay? So don't want that to be the confusion here. So here's the bad news. Keene is still the second highest tax rate in Johnson County. That is a true statement. But if you go back and look at this slide, there are several cities that are inching closer and closer to Keene. The other thing I'd like to point out is 5 of the 9 cities in Johnson County increased their tax rate this year. 2 cities kept it the exact same. Keene was one of 2 cities that decreased their tax rate. And here's the problem. And I call this is what I would call a high-class problem, okay? The city is growing, okay? As a city grows, as so many of you that have come and met with me in my office or out there, we already have our struggles. We have all the same struggles that other cities have. We have road struggles and all these infrastructure things that I know we need to address, and those are things that my team and I are working on. But in the meantime, as you know, before the new budget was passed, a city our size has 80 employees, and we had 52. And thanks to the budget, now instead of being 33% understaffed, we'll be around 27%, 25% understaffed. So we are making strides to fix some of these issues. So anyway, the point of that is, I would love to sit here and tell you that we're going to decrease our taxes every year. But when you're going through growth, you have to be able to pay for that growth. And I can give you my promise that I'm going to try to find every other way to increase revenue to this city, whether it be through sales tax, which is the big obvious one, and we'll discuss that here in a little bit. But the facts are, taxes are probably going to go up. I'm going to try hard not to, guys, but if we need to, we need to. And again, I'd be sitting here lying if I said that taxes will never go up. okay? We're going to try our hardest to continue that historical trend down. And I do have ideas. I do have plans to combat that. But anyway, so with that, I'm going to, we're very fortunate and to have Larry Trammell here tonight. He's on the Johnson County Appraisal District Board member. Amy Lingo, one of our longtime citizens, put me in touch with him, and I spent about an hour on the phone, you know, because the world I come from, 2 + 2 = 4, right? What I'm learning with government is there are formulas within formulas within formulas. And so I'm learning, and if I don't know these things, I have to assume there's other people out there that don't know. And so the information I learned was very helpful. And so I really want to thank Mr. Trammell for being here this evening. And I will turn it over to you at this point.
So good evening to everybody. Again, my name's Larry Trammell. I'm one of the 3 people who were elected by the taxpayers to the Central Appraisal District Board to represent your interests. I'm here for you. The others are actually appointed by the taxing entities, including Keene and the ISDs and all 36 of them, I think. So I'm here to make sure to protect the interests of the taxpayers. That's the reason I'm on the board. Okay, so tonight I'm really just going to talk about 3 things in general. One is the property tax process. And I didn't make slides up because I was just substituted in for Miss Lingo recently. So, but I'll talk about the property tax process. I'm going to talk about the reappraisal plan, which may be news to some of you, and then also about protests, which are a very important thing for you to know and understand. So first, the property tax process. Property tax is collected to pay for local services. I think you probably already know that. I believe there are about 36 separate taxing entities in Johnson County that charge property taxes. They don't all charge them to you. You know, they're in different areas, but there are 36 of them in total, I believe. So the process of determining property taxes starts with the taxing entities themselves. Once they determine their own allowed budget, well, then they need to allocate that budget, you know, to you, the taxpayers, and that's where the CAD comes in. The Central Appraisal District provides an allocation base that's calculated as the sum of all of the assessed values of taxable properties in the county. So that includes residential real estate, commercial property, business personal property, and even minerals. So the CAD assesses the market value of each of those properties and then reduces those values by the stated exemptions, like the homestead exemption, the over 65 exemption, disabled exemptions, etc. And then we sum them up to the total taxable value. The taxing entities are provided with that total value then for their respective areas, like for Keene. Then the taxing entities divide their budget by the total value of all taxable property to come up with their tax rate, okay? That's how you come up with the tax rate in general. Now that tax rate then is actually applied by the tax assessor collector to the assessed individual properties to determine how much each person will have to pay to that entity. Then they bill that amount to the taxpayer. When the tax assessor collector receives the money, they provide it back to the taxing entities. So that's the cycle of it. Taxing entities determine how much to collect, and then they get the money back from tax assessor collector to pay for the services that they provide. Okay? I was also asked to talk about the reappraisal plan. In the past, every CAD in Texas reappraised properties every year. All of them. Well, when I came on the board, I found out by reading the actual law that it says that they must be reappraised at least every 3 years. Well, 1 year complies, 2 years could comply. But when we found out we could do it every 3 years, in an effort to slow the increase in property taxes, we adopted a 3-year appraisal plan, okay? And that was just last year, and that's just for Johnson County. Under the plan, the assessed value of residential properties is being sustained at the 2024 value for 2025 and again for 2026. That's the 3-year cycle that we're on. Now, this does not apply to commercial properties, doesn't apply to business personal property or minerals or new construction, right? Those are reassessed each year as directed by Texas state law. So, you may also be aware that Texas implemented several caps on property taxes to protect homeowners from rapid increases in their tax bills. The primary protection is the 10% homestead cap. How many of you have homestead exemptions on your property? Almost all of you. So that the homestead cap, the primary cap, is 10%. There's a 10% cap which limits the annual increase in the appraised value of a primary residence to 10% of the previous year's appraised value, plus any improvements. If you go add a room on or something like that, well then, okay, that's taxed. But it's capped for the state of the property as it was to begin with. Now, for non-homestead properties, you may not be aware of this, such as rental properties or second homes valued at $5 million or less, a separate 20% cap on the annual appraisal increases was introduced in 2024. And I'll bet you don't know, that only remains in effect through 2026. That's what Austin did for us. They put it in place, but it goes away in 2026. Okay, so relative to these caps, the amount above the cap is added to the assessed value in the following year or years, as it may be, even if there's no reappraisal. And we cap it for 1 year, but then the next year, it can float on up to the total appraised value. So you could see property value increase this year after the year of the cap. So if it was capped last year, it could go up a little bit this year, and that surprises some people. Okay, so that's the cap. Now, the other issue I want to talk about is very, very important, and that is protests. You may have heard that there's a process by which you can protest the assessed value of your property that was determined by the CAD. After the assessed values are released each April, you have until May 15th to file a formal protest. If you do so, you'll meet with an appraisal review board, call it the ARB, which will listen to your case and they will adjudicate the value. They look at the evidence provided by the appraiser and they look at the information that you provide to them to make their final determination. And I want you to know that you are encouraged to bring all evidence supporting your position, including pictures of your property, any damage or mitigating factors or anything like that that may reduce your appraisal. And I'm going to tell you, I protested the value of a property that I have over in Parker County, and I took in 156 pages. They weren't happy to see me. 156 pages, pictures and documents and support, but I won't tell you the value, but it was reduced a lot. So it's important that you know that over half, well over half of the protests have resulted in a reduction and assessed property value, and therefore lower taxes to the taxpayer. And on the CAD website, you'll see contact information for the taxpayer liaison officer. Very important person. That person is an advocate for the taxpayer and will help you understand your rights and answer many questions about property taxes. This person doesn't attend the ARB hearing with you, but they can provide insight into the process and answer any questions, that you may have of that process. So in general, that's my presentation of the information that I know. If you want to get much more detailed information on how to calculate things, all that, you're welcome to ask the chief appraiser to come in. He is the expert. I'm not an expert. I'm a business expert. I'm not a Central Appraisal District expert yet. But I'm reading all the laws, and once I've read all of them, then hopefully I will be. Anyway, that's all I have for tonight. Are there any questions? Thank you.
You don't have a chief appraiser. You have an interim appraiser named Jeff Wall.
Thank you. Yeah, we have a chief appraiser, and he is the interim. As a matter of fact, tomorrow, I am personally interviewing, we have a whole subcommittee, of course, of the board that's interviewing, I think, 6 candidates for the chief appraiser position, because as you say, Jeff is there in an interim capacity right now. But he is officially written in as the chief appraiser.
You have over 422,000 accounts.
Mhm.
Okay. And I've been advised that several hundred, if not 1,000, are under forensic review. Do you know anything about that?
I'm not sure what you're referring to. What I do know,
Well, I'm referring to one particular piece of property right across the street that's never been reappraised in over 15 years.
okay, so let me tell everybody else what you're talking about. In one of our CAD board meetings, Greg Cooper came in with Transparency Project and presented information to us on properties that he evaluated, and he gave us 50, not 1,000. He gave us 50 properties. I think he said there were more, but he said, here's a list of 50 properties that I believe have not been reappraised. No, that's not true. He said they haven't had the value changed in over 10 years. And we provided that to our chief appraiser. Actually, it was back when Jim was there. And then he left, and he passed it to the interim, which was Brittany Vereen.
$500,000 golden parachute.
No, that's not true, no. Being the guy there watching out for the taxpayers, he did have a contract that said if we terminated his employment within a certain period of time, he would receive 1 year's pay, and he made $235,000 a year. And I worked directly on that to ensure he didn't get paid anything. I mean, I am a contracts expert, and I looked at the contract and, nope, you don't get paid. And he agreed. He said, okay, thank you very much, and he left.
So I'm in communication with Justice White
Okay,
about appraisal all over the city of Keene
okay.
being irregular. You've got 10,000 square foot properties, and you've got 2.2 acre properties right beside them, and the property itself valuation, not the improvement, is roughly the same.
Hmm.
And then I have a home where my property land value is 3.5 times a neighbor of mine who's in a better neighborhood and, much more expensive house than mine.
Mhm.
His property is 15,000 land value, mine's 52,000.
Mhm.
I know of a particular duplex that has been there for over 3 years, that is still carrying a valuation of $10,000.
Hmm. Yeah. I don't know anything about that. And by the way, since I'm very careful to follow the law, I'm actually, as a board member, precluded from looking at individual property values besides my own. So I can't look at that. But let me tell you what we did. So we took the information that was provided to us by Greg Cooper. It has been passed down from Jim to Brittany and then now to Jeff. And we're about to hire, hopefully, a regular full-time chief appraiser. But I will say this, I'm disappointed that there was a glitch. Last board meeting, we had a presentation on those exact properties. And I have a copy of it, and I'll give it to you if you want it. And it went through and it identified exactly what the properties were and what the valuations were and all that. And I didn't look through it in detail because we didn't get to go over it that night, but that information's available. I'm happy to give it to you. The ones that I saw, by the way, almost all of the 50 properties were very large properties, thousands of acres, at least hundreds of acres. And the general problem that I was told with the valuations was that no other properties had sold, in that area for quite some time, and so it was difficult for them. I wasn't happy with that answer, so I'm pressing Jeff Law, and I will the new appraiser, to go look harder at that, because I don't like the answer. I'm you. I'm here for the taxpayer, and so we're gonna get down to it. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, sir.
So I just looked on the CAD website.
Yeah.
Because I was curious if my property was one of the ones you valued as this year to last year. It's not. So we can easily go on that website.
Oh,
look at
sure.
our property values and
Yeah.
see what our value is this
Correct.
year to what it is last year.
Yes, sir.
Because I know there's a huge blow up right now with what the no new rate is.
No new revenue rate.
People can do a couple clicks.
That's right, yeah. In fact, I'll tell you that, you can look at mine. You can look at his. You can, it's open information. Yeah, public information, so. But yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That's an important point.
Not trying to,
I know, I
but
apologize.
I know he's got to get out of here.
I have another meeting I gotta be at. All right, thank you very much. You bet.
Yeah, well, and, yeah. And that's just it, like what you just said, in my world, 2 + 2 is 4, right? And so if appraisals aren't going up and tax rate goes down, you assume everything's going down. Well, I'm learning too, so that's why I'm gonna try to do a better job of educating the community as I learn, we're all gonna try to learn together. So thanks for pointing that out. All right, so we're gonna skip through these last ones pretty quick here. All right. This is a fun one for me. Water, okay? And I know where the history and the stigma comes from. From 20, 30 years ago, we had to use this huge water increase. So the darker bars simulate kind of 5,000 gallons per month, okay? And so that's kind of an average based on homes. And then you've got the 10,000 based on people that use more water. So this one's really kind of fun for me. So Keene, so let's just give this. So Keene is ranked 5 out of 8 cities, okay? Now, 3 cities have higher water and sewer costs than Keene. The other 4 cities are roughly between $8 and $12 less a month. That's it. And that's proven on that graph. And here's the other thing too. These are numbers from 2024. These are numbers from Kit, when Kit was here. And so I can almost guarantee you that has inched closer. And here's the reason why. We are very fortunate to have our own water supply. There's a lot of cities that rely on outside sources to provide water to their homes. And those costs are going up exponentially. And here's the things that we're doing as a city. We got the TWDB grant which is a $3.5 million grant. With that grant, we're going to be looking at drilling and getting some more wells so that we do purchase a little bit from JSUD, and we have a wonderful partnership with them. I'm very thankful for them, and we will always have an agreement with them, but I want to use them as reserve. I don't want them to use as actual supplying the city. That's the goal. We're also, with this grant, going to be focused on leakage. So obviously, anything we can do, we're replacing meters with this money, all these things that we can do, because if we can be better from a cost standpoint, then that helps us not have to increase as much. Now, again, here's the thing, it's coming. Everyone likes to talk about the water treatment plant. That water treatment plant right now is about 55% capacity, okay? Personally, and this is just me analyzing and looking at the data, I think our city will get to about 15,000. And that, to me, that's kind of where I think we're, as a city, going to get to, when we're kind of starting to reach that maxed out. At that point, we were right on the cuff of really technically needing to upgrade, and so we do have time, all right? And I promise you, we are looking at trying to come up with a plan, because here's what I don't want to do. I don't like when negative history repeats itself. I don't want us to get to 10 years from now and all of a sudden we repeat what happened 20 and 30 years ago and everybody's water goes way high, and then all of a sudden I'm showing you a graph that, we're way above everybody else. So we are looking at options and things that we can do. I can't really speak to that right now because there's just a lot of things going on right now, but I can promise you I do realize and I'm very aware of the concerns, okay? But what I can tell you is right now, we're fine. Things are good. And we are not the highest water and sewer in Johnson County. And the other cities are catching up to us quite rapidly. And then, okay, so I know I got 3 minutes, and there's more fun things outside to do than listen to me talk. So these are a few other things I want to just bring to your attention. These are reasons why we should be excited as a city, okay? Keene has no room to go. False. We currently have 98 acres of developed commercial property. We still have 471 acres that are already zoned commercial. We have 4 communities in the process of getting developed, okay, with an additional 383 acres of undeveloped acres zoned residential. This does not include the ETJ, okay? The city is not focused on developing new job opportunities. False. Of those 471 acres, 83 are zoned for manufacturing, currently working on a deal to develop 50 of those acres, and when that is all said and done, that will provide initially 120, but capped out 180 jobs to Keene with, hold on, sorry guys, with the pay being above the DFW median pay rate, which is $72,000. It's a good opportunity for our community. And this doesn't even include the fast food, the other smaller businesses that we're having conversations with. I mean, every time you add a fast food, there's 30 more jobs, all right? So I can promise you the city is working on that. The economy is slowing down and developers are not interested in a small town like Keene. That is false, okay? You go tell me right now, oh, the economy's tight. Go tell a developer that they're still not going to try to make money, all right? That's false. And here's the beauty of this right now. A perfect example is we're blessed to have our own water, okay? We get to control what our impact fees are. And right now, our impact fees are locked into what they are for 2 more years. There's, and I'm happy to share stories out there with you, but literally water is making economic development in surrounding cities come to a screeching halt because they can't afford it. And guess what? They're looking at us, okay? We've got over 22,000 cars a day that travel on 67, and we've got over 10,000 a day that are driving on 2280. All right, fine, there's some overlap. There's 25,000 cars that are driving through our city every single day. I would be crazy not to be focused on trying to bring in sales tax revenue and capture that. All right, city is not focused on infrastructure. False. Recently received the TWDB grant. The $300,000 Fairview project, which I do apologize, but it's almost done. Thank you for your patience. That has taken longer, but we are at the mercy of conditions. We're waiting to hear back on the city master plan grant of $300,000, which we should be receiving any day now, and that's actually going to give us a roadmap and actual formulas to what roads, what things do we do look at, what is most important to fix the fastest. We're also working on the sidewalk and the downtown revitalization grant. Each one of those are $1 million, and they say we have a good chance to get it. And then take all those aside, we have $550,000 earmarked in this year's budget for CIPs dedicated to infrastructure. City does not reinvest back into the community. That is false. Type A board is funded by sales tax revenue, is the process of developing a grant program to help local businesses with costly improvements. I was super excited about this, and now we just have to create the process to award it. Type B board is reinvesting sales tax into the quality of life projects that directly benefit the residents. Example, $200,000 earmarked this year for sidewalks. The city, this is one of my favorites. City does not want citizen feedback. That's false. Holly and I have this conversation probably on a weekly basis. We constantly are looking for applicants to serve on decision-making boards and committees. Example, Type A and Type B, Board of Adjustments, Planning and Zoning, and we'd like to create a Building Standards Commission. With everything that's happening, it's going to be a need. All these boards help make decisions on how money is spent, help develop ordinances for council approval, business development, and the future of Keene in general. And if you don't want to be on a board, we have committees. There's Founders Day, Celebration, Starfest, and Christmas Market, all quality of life for our community. And then this is the one that I absolutely love. Our city does not get enough credit. We have an amazing ISD that makes families want to move here. That is true. And I extend that into the Seventh-day Adventists, the faith-based Christian schools. And here's something that just blows my mind. We are the only city in Johnson County that has a university. And I know I'm 2 minutes over, and please forgive me, Holly. But I'm going to share with you a really funny story. In some of these conversations with development that I'm working on and Don's working on, he was talking about, when they bring their business to Keene, and this is a company that, man, people work their entire lives at. The CEO has literally only worked for this one company out of college for over 31 years. And he brought some other leadership, and again, they've been there for 25 years and all these things. And so it's funny because he says, we love to hire community. He says, we love to hire contractors from the community. We like to get involved in all these things, and this is why they've been such a successful blueprint across all their plans. And he says, and we even love to hire management from local universities. And he says, so don't worry, we'll be looking at Baylor, and we'll be looking at TCU, and I said, well, why don't you look across the street? And I love this, and he goes, what's across the street? And I said, well, that's Southwestern Adventist University, and I pointed to my diploma, and I said, that's where I graduated from. And he literally goes, I thought that was just a big Catholic church. And so he was super excited that he found a community that he can literally find everything he needs right here. And here's the thing, if you look at Keene on a Johnson County map, we are the heart. And I don't mean that just to say, and I do believe we're the heart of Johnson County, but that's why I'm here. But we are right in the center of it, guys. I mean, everybody in this county passes through this city. And so we should be excited about the future of this city. And I know change is hard, and I know growth scares people, but you can either be a part of it or you can fight it, and it's going to happen anyway. So with that, tell you what, I want us all to go have fun. I'm going to be out there, so if you want to come to me with your questions, please do. But I thank you all for coming. Oh.
May I make a quick statement to the audience?
Yeah.
If we're not the heart, we're definitely the jewel of Johnson County. But when you look at businesses that want to come to Keene, especially when you go to a new business in whatever city you're in, they ask you, stay tuned. I'll put together a town hall in January 2026, if anybody's interested. It's been presented to the city, it's been presented to the Economic Development Board. This needs, being jump-started.
Yeah, no, thank you, Mr. Jackson. And again, I'm for it. Like I said, it just has to be done very strategically because you only give you one shot every 10 years. So if you're not successful, you got to wait 10 years. So I am all for it, but like I said, we got a lot of other things that we're trying to, so if we can get citizens behind it, then all for it. All right, so again, thank you all for coming. Please go out and enjoy National Night Out. We're all excited to have you here. And if you have any questions, just come find me. I'll be out there.